Hey friends, this is not a snow day. I am Kevin Ozar. This is my every weekday YouTube channel in which I try to help out people who are educating at home. It is day 79 of the shelter-in-place quarantine order from Governor Gretchen Whitmer here in the state of Michigan. Although at noon today she did lift some of the restrictions. This is approximately my 50-something episode. If you like it, subscribe, comment. So last week I was saying that I wasn't quite sure what I was going to keep talking about. I felt like I might be running out of topics. And this morning I woke with a different conundrum. I thought maybe I should stop talking. I knew what I wanted to talk about. I knew what was on my mind. I just wondered if maybe people like me, who look like me, who've had my experience, have plenty of time to talk, and I should do a little bit more listening. And so I spent most of today listening and reading, and read something that I thought was interesting, which is it's important to maybe be an echo, which is to listen to the information that others have and then echo that and use my platform to echo it. And that really resonated, and I continue to stay quiet. I thought maybe today's the day I don't post. And then I realized, along with some feedback that some other people were sharing with me about the value that they're finding here, is that there is something I do know a lot about. I have not lived everyone's experience. I have lived the experience of an educator, and I've had the opportunity to be in classrooms and to be at schools when things are difficult. And so perhaps I can lend some of that expertise to others and spend the rest of my time listening. So that's what I want to do today, is give you a tip, give you a thing that you can do at home, no matter what the content, but especially the content if it is some of the important issues that we as a nation have to grapple with. And so the issue is practice. Now, I have a hard time hearing practice and not thinking of Allen Iverson, NBA great, deriding practice, the idea that just it's always game time. But it's ludicrous for a lot of reasons. Number one being that if you do not practice something, when game time comes, you will not have had any experiences, and you are more likely to do the wrong thing or actually to do nothing. We've talked for many, many years as humans about fight or flight, but the reality is there's fight, there's flight, and there's freeze. And I think most of us, when faced in a tough situation, freeze. I have talked with hundreds of students in schools. I've done assemblies and workshops, and almost all of them say they don't wake up in the morning to be complicit. They find themselves in situations where they don't know what to do, and they freeze. And so the piece of education that's missing right now with our at-home distance learning is the practice. Teachers roll out the concepts, and then the kids are kind of on their own to wrestle with, to wrangle with, and just somehow incorporate into their lives. And we don't have the time to practice a long division problem, or wrestling with a historical document, or writing a sentence and changing out the words. We just kind of do, and there's no practice. And so what I want to encourage you to do right now is to find a way with the learners and the humans and your partners in your homes to practice. And what I mean by this is to actually try on some of the tough conversations. If you would like to be an ally, if you would like to be the kind of person who speaks out, if you would like to be the person who calls out injustice, to say it or to post it on social media is not enough. And it isn't enough to tell our kids, you have to stick up for people, or you have to be safe. You truly have to give them a chance to practice. And this can take a lot of forms. It can be role play. It can be looking at other examples in film and media and television, in books, and then talking, was that a good choice? The best kind of practice is active practice, in which you would role play, be it with stuffed animals, or action figures, or maybe it is truly, I'm going to be the bully, and I want you to respond. Or if this is your friend and this happens, what would you say right here? So many of us, there's a Seinfeld episode about it. So many of us have been in places where we thought of the comeback or what we wish we had said a day or two or three later. And it haunts us, that regret. And so we can equip our young people with the opportunity to practice how they will be in the world, which is not always so safe, and to then act. And I know that I'm speaking from a place of privilege, because I have friends who have children of color who have to practice with them, their children, how to act and how to be safe in spaces that many of us take our safety for granted. This might sound familiar to women who have been navigating the world. This certainly, I'm sure, sounds familiar to parents of children of color. And so now it is time for us as allies to listen and to help our young people become those allies as well. And what I've noticed over the last couple of days is, as I've been pushing difficult conversations with my teenager and my preteen, that they have gotten easier, right? Because I practiced it. And when one of them was like, this is uncomfortable, I don't want to have this conversation right now, this is awkward, this is cringy, I was like, okay, I'm going to keep going. And I want you to have some practice in sitting in an uncomfortable conversation and cringing a little bit. I want you to have to sit in that. And you'll get more comfortable with the uncomfortable. And that will be a learning as well. And so practice. Have the tough conversations. What would you do? How would you respond? Be transparent in your modeling. And so when you hear someone who makes just a joke, you'll be ready to say, I don't think that joke is funny, and that joke sounds hurtful, and I don't want you to talk like that around me. Or, that's my friend, you can't do that. Or whatever the situation calls for, so that we don't respond with the wrong thing, nor do we not respond at all. Practice. Now, should you practice your math facts and your spelling? Of course. Should you practice reading by reading a lot? Yes. Should you practice kindness by being kind? Yes. And we have never had time like this at home to actively practice the values of the home. So whatever the family says are their values, we now have more time than we've ever had to be together and to work on those, to make sure that when we have the opportunity to go out in the world, that we live those values out in the world, values that are true to who we are, so we feel good about our time in the world, and values that are true to everyone else, so that they have a more equitable, safe time in the world. Practice. Yes, Allen Iverson, talking to you. Talk about practice. Thank you so much for joining me. More content to come. Be good to yourself. Be good to others. Empathy comes with practice.